Ethan Miller had driven these isolated Arizona backroads for years, but that evening felt different. The desert sky was turning a deep violet, painting the horizon in quiet shades of dusk as he made his way home after a long, draining shift. His daughter Emily was staying with her grandmother that night, giving him a rare moment of solitude. The cool wind brushing through cracked windows was the only sound keeping him company, until the small, unmoving shape near the guardrail jolted him alert. Instinct took over before fear could settle in. He slammed the brakes, gravel spraying from beneath his tires as his truck skidded onto the shoulder. The fading sunlight revealed the tiny figure more clearly, frail, motionless, curled in on itself as if trying to disappear into the dust. Ethan's heartbeat quickened. He grabbed his emergency flashlight and stepped out, boots crunching on the gravel. As he approached, the beam of light fell on a young Apache child, no more than 5, trembling from cold and exhaustion. Every piece of Ethan's training sharpened instantly, pushing aside the shock. The child's breathing was shallow, lips cracked as if he hadn't tasted water in days. His torn shirt clung to bruised skin, and dried mud streaked his small arms. Ethan knelt slowly, speaking in the calm, steady tone he used to comfort frightened patients. The boy didn't respond, only flinched when the flashlight moved. Without hesitation, Ethan removed his own jacket and wrapped it around the trembling child. The desert nights grew dangerously cold, and the boy was already at the edge of collapse. Cradling the child carefully, Ethan hurried back to his truck. His cabin was the closest shelter, far closer than the nearest town or ranger station. As he drove through the dim, winding path toward home, he kept glancing at the tiny form beside him, making sure each breath continued. His phone showed 0 signal. Of course, this part of northern Arizona rarely offered any. It meant no immediate help, no instant answers, just responsibility. The weight of it settled heavily on his shoulders as the desert swallowed the road behind them. Inside his secluded cabin, Ethan moved quickly. He lit the fireplace, boiled water, and prepared a thin soup while keeping the boy wrapped in blankets. At first the child barely opened his eyes, only flinching occasionally at unfamiliar sounds. Ethan fed him slowly, careful not to overwhelm his weak stomach. Hours passed, then a day. The boy slept in short bursts, murmuring a few soft words in Apache, words Ethan didn't understand but recognized as fear. Someone had lost this child. Someone must be searching. 4 days passed in a strange silence. The child grew stronger, finally managing a fragile smile when Ethan handed him warm bread. But even as trust began to form between them, a lingering dread hung in the air. Children didn't wander into desert roads alone. Storms didn't separate families without leaving signs. And the way the boy sometimes glanced at the windows, as if expecting danger to return, only deepened Ethan's unease. Something was wrong out there in the desert. Someone was missing. And Ethan knew the peace of those 4 days wouldn't last forever. Morning light spilled gently across the red Arizona cliffs, warming the cabin walls as Ethan prepared a simple breakfast: eggs, toast, and warm tea. The child sat quietly at the wooden table, blanket still wrapped around his shoulders. For the first time since Ethan had found him on the roadside, the boy's lips curved into a small, fragile smile. It was the kind of smile that carried hope, trust, and the faintest sense of safety. Ethan felt relief settling in his chest. Maybe things were turning. Maybe help would finally arrive. But fate had a different plan waiting at the door. Without warning, a violent pounding shattered the calm. Boom, boom, boom. The sound was so forceful that dust drifted down from the beams overhead. Ethan's hand froze mid-motion, a feeling of dread clawing at his spine. Visitors never came out here, certainly not at sunrise. The child immediately stiffened, eyes widening in fear. His small hands clutched the edge of Ethan's shirt, trembling at the sudden intrusion. Ethan motioned for him to stay back, then stepped toward the door, each footstep heavy with uncertainty. Whoever stood outside wasn't ordinary. He opened the door slowly, bracing himself for danger, but instead found 3 Apache women standing together on the porch. Their traditional woven shawls fluttered in the desert breeze, and exhaustion lined their faces as though they had walked miles through harsh terrain. The eldest woman stepped forward. Her silver braids rested over her shoulders, and though her voice trembled, her posture remained strong. She looked past Ethan into the cabin, hope flickering in her eyes. Behind her, the younger 2 women appeared equally desperate, equally determined. "We've been searching the desert for our lost child," the elder woman said, breath shaking with relief and exhaustion. The storm separated us. We feared the worst. Her gaze softened when she saw the boy peeking from behind Ethan's legs. Thank you, for keeping him alive. The emotion in her voice struck Ethan harder than any words he could have prepared for. Before he could respond, the child bolted forward, running into the arms of the eldest woman, burying his face into her shawl as tears spilled freely. The reunion was powerful, raw, emotional, almost sacred. The women embraced the child tightly, whispering soft words in Apache as they touched his hair, his cheeks, reassuring themselves he was real. Ethan stepped back to give them space, feeling a mixture of relief and lingering unease. He had done what anyone morally should, yet the sense of danger remained. Something about the child's fear, the days of silence, the storm, it all felt incomplete. The desert didn't give up secrets easily, and this one still had shadows attached to it. As the women comforted the child, Ethan's eyes drifted toward the far edge of the dirt road. There, barely visible through rising dust, sat a dark vehicle, motionless, silent, and watching. It hadn't been there the night before. No windows rolled down, no engine sound, just a presence, heavy and unsettling. Ethan's pulse quickened. Whoever occupied that vehicle hadn't come to help the women, and the timing was too perfect to ignore. He stepped slightly in front of the family, instincts sharpening all over again. The mystery wasn't over. In fact, it had just begun, and the desert felt suddenly colder.